All right, this is Firecrotch versus the Angry Snails, and I'm gonna be doing a bit of a game analysis here on this week 2. So, Gabe puts out a hard pull. Kevin's looking for a lot of handler dishing. He always has his eyes on strike side. Zach is he receives the disc with power, so he kind of puts it out, and that it's a good deep throw. It just wasn't there. Zach asks really needing to keep his force. That was good recognition on the turn for Zach to make that cut and Zach P to recognize that and make the throw. A lot of people don't seem to know, but on a turnover, everyone tries to tap the disc in, and you don't, or like have the opposing team tap it, and you don't need to do that. So on a turnover, you can just run up to the disc, and it is your possession, so you can immediately start gameplay, which is kind of how Zach and Zach got a quick point there. See, Zach has a pretty reasonable force on Andy right now, so all he can really throw is that weak backhand that is going to come out blading and hard to catch. Gabe getting it to center field. Jan letting off a backhand to Wojo, which is dropped. A good tip that you can employ is looking at a person's hand. If you watch the previous, like with Zach S handling, he always has the disc in a backhand grip, so you don't really need to worry about him throwing that forehand. There was no force there, so that throw in theory shouldn't go up. Kevin put out a massive amount of effort there to attempt to stop that play, but he didn't come down with the disc. It's a little hard to try and stop that because Wojo got the disc with power. And getting a disc with power meaning you get it and you have the momentum to make a throw, right? So if I get a disc with power on my backhand side, I can take my couple steps to stop and then lean right into a throw, which doesn't leave time for your mark to catch up. And that's why that throw was able to go up. Just quick recognition of upfield presence. Sean being really conservative with the disc, which is good. But the force on the sideline was a good choice. It put out a bad throw. So on an indoor field, it's a little more difficult to make quote unquote deep throws at a shorter distance. So that throw Wojo made was what you want to do is put a little IO on the disc, or meaning inside out, so that the bottom of the disc is facing the outside of your body from your dominant hand. So throwing a forehand IO is having the disc curve in from the right to the left. And that's how you're going to throw those mid-range throws. A little bit of blade so it comes down into the receiver, just like what Matt F did, where he threw the OI backhand out to Wojo, because there was a little bit of distance and you gotta get the disc up, but you don't want to put it so it's floaty and easily D'd. Joey forcing Zach S to the sideline. That's a beautiful cut in that you should be looking to do this all the time, what Zach S just did. So he gets the disc off to his handler, being Kevin, and realizes I have no space on the break side of the field to advance up. So he makes a direct cut diagonally to the other half of the field in the end zone. And if your handler keeps eye contact with you, then you're going to be getting the dish right back to you. And that's going to gain you such easy yardage. You're going to get the disc with power, and you're going to be able to look upfield to finish that or continue that throw into the end zone. Kevin puts it big out to Jan. That motion that Kevin just did, that's something you wanna look for a lot, and that's the cut your handlers are gonna be making, and gets the disc with a small amount of power. And Jan right here is looking to make a cut towards the end zone. And that throw right there that Kevin just made is exactly what I was talking about with the OI on your forehand. Because Kevin's got about 15, 20 yards between him and Jan. But again, like, that's not as far as you'd think, but it's still a reasonable throw considering how small our field is. Very good pull. Comes down at a sharp angle, so it's hard to catch, and clearly netted some value, landing Kevin's team at the 1 yard line. Kevin's trying to set up a little bit of an end zone play, but it doesn't really seem to work out how he wanted it to, but he still nets a point from it. So a typical play to make in the end zone on a turn like that, when you're getting the disc super close and you have time to set up, is an ISO, right? So you put your men in corners of the end zone, clearing the space so you have less defenders, and then you proceed to have one man make a cut who you feel most confident in that they can beat their man, and that's like an isolation play. This was Joey getting stalled. Yeah, on a stall turn, you just put the disc down, then the offensive team now defending has to tap the disc live. Wojo has a very straight up mark against Kevin, and that gives him so much power, having both sides of the field open to him. Wide open man's going to net you a lot of yardage and points. You got to take advantage. That's good field recognition. The throw itself wasn't too bad here. I don't think it was a poor decision. I think it was just a little unexpected on both ends. I don't think Kevin thought this was coming. That's a good fake. Really open. Sean lifted up his arms, and it opened up the side of the field for Joey to throw that break throw. Zach throwing up another hammer here. Seemingly unstoppable, seeing that they all somehow connect. Zach S seeming to get open quite easily here. Floaty throw, that's going to get smacked down. Gabe opting to force Kevin to throw the sideline, trying to give him less of the field. See, that's the cut we were talking about before. Kevin started rounding around the back of his fellow handler. Because when you're coming back for a dump, you can't just come back and stop because you're gonna rack up the stall count real quick. So the proper motion is to make a round cut around the back. Good throw goes up by Joey. It connects. Zach looking off Jan to opt to throw this mega hammer. Again, apparently unstoppable. Johnny resetting back to Zach. Zach putting up a reasonably good in theory throw. It was there in all the elements except for accuracy. Johnny biting mega hard on that fake. Started running. Joey putting up a nice throw, but it's a little high, even for our bronze god Johnny. Sean having a lot of composure there to not really feel too trapped on the sideline. And that's good field awareness, too, to kind of understand he needs to wait for someone to come back and get him out of that situation. Wojo throws a nice skinny break there, meaning he throws a forehand. Well, he makes a throw through open side, meaning the side of the force is trying to get you to throw to. He throws to that side of the guard's body, but still makes it to break side. Pull goes out the back. You get a brick mark, 5 yards out of the end zone. Kevin gets to set up his play. Kevin running a side stack with one back, being Zach, his handler. I don't think Johnny was supposed to make a deep cut there. I think Zach S pulls defender out, and Johnny's supposed to make an in cut. Kevin again using the turnover to give himself that power on the disc. Again, a lot of people try to opt to have the opposing team tap the disc in on a turn. You don't need to do that. You can just pick it up and go. Because as the disc hits the ground, that is the change in possession, and it is yours. So you can really take advantage of that. What was that movie, Monster House?
Yeah, the worst movie ever made.
You think so?
I think it's one of the worst movies ever made. Actually, no, okay. When I was younger, I thought it was, but the plot of it's actually like decent.
Okay.
Speaking of a monster house, check out this amazing handling
I
possession
was
by the other team.
I was gonna I was
Whoa.
gonna say this entire point has just been great handler movement from Team Fire Crotch. This entire point is just well oiled handler movement. It's a lot of good swings, resetting the disc, understanding when the under's coming, and not being afraid to pull the trigger. Johnny makes a good cut. I can't see too much of downfield, so I don't know why Kevin didn't throw it. Andy keeping a good force on Zach S there, knowing full well he can't really throw anything but a backhand, so it comes out pretty poorly, but Kevin still gets the disc. Matt F opting to force backhand there. I'm not entirely sure as to why. Wojo's still straight up marking. Johnny also straight up marking, giving both sides of the field to Gabe. Readjusting here, giving a small force. Andy's got a really good affinity for understanding that he's not the one that's gonna be making all the plays with the disc. So when he gets it and he sees his opportunity, he's gonna get that disc off and he's gonna get out because he knows he's clogging that space where the disc is trying to move. So he's got a really good recognition of where to be on the field and why he's there. Kevin always making sure to put the disc out to space. And here we see Zach Palmentero's apparently unstoppable hammer. And the teleporting disc, the moment it leaves Kevin's hand, the next frame is in the end zone. Or so we think, due to Wojo's massive body blocking the shot.
Like, the two teams that'd be able to shut it down are your team and Kevin's team.
You mean the team he's on?
Oh. Alright, cutting that out.
Again, Andy making sure he's getting out of that space, clearing out for another person like Matt F to come into that space there. Putting up a contestable forehand, but Joey comes down with it, and Andy is there to clean up. That's that's the first hammer that hasn't been completed this game, and I'm slightly convinced it's solely because it hit the net on the top of the ceiling. A backhand getting off, so Matt F gets the disc, dishes it over to Joey, swings it over back to Matt, continues the disc, and that's a big move that I think a lot of teams underestimate is continuations of swings. A swing being throwing the disc over to another handler on a more open part of the field, but the continuation is when you receive the disc, you have power with it, meaning you have a slight advantage over your defender, and you have a bit of momentum to go with it. And so you continue that by dishing the disc again even if it's a slight margin. So Zach here, he puts out a nice forehand, and I think it's a very proper throw. I just don't think it was gauged properly. Johnny coming down with the disc. Kevin putting a nice OI forehand out to space. We see a nice little celebration dance from Johnny here. You get 3 or 4 frames of Tim Naruto running past the camera. A little bit of a lack of communication here. Kevin trying to poach off and D that. Zach keeping a force on Andy, forcing him to kind of put up a little bit of a contestable throw. There it is again, with Andy's presence of mind, knowing that he's a little bit of a liability with the disc in his hand. So when he sees his opportunity, he takes it, and he doesn't question it, which is a pretty valuable skill in and of itself. Zach's waiting here for an under. Finally gets a cross field to Zach. Another hammer goes up. So that's the second one that hasn't connected. I think Zach's looking 4 for 6 right now on hammers. And solely this game. A little bit of sluggishness to get up to the mark, but it's okay because Joey throws it away. Zach taking advantage of it, picking up the disc, recognizing the cut there from Zach S, and getting a free point. So in moments like this where you have the opportunity, you can take this time to set up a play off the pull, because you have the opportunity to bring it center field and set up a stack or some form of offense. Wojo putting up a high release backhand, really nearing the back of the end zone there. Gabe having the read on the disc, and he comes down with it rather well. Kevin gets the under to Sean here. Puts it back up line to Kevin. Jam makes the nice cut. That entire point is just crammed up the sideline. But it works. It doesn't always work, but it can work. But the only reason that it does work, or rather that it happens, is because you're putting on a proper force. So that's just good. That's good defense for Team Firecrotch there. Andy getting the disc off quick. I feel like I'm talking about Andy a lot, but he's doing good things. So I feel it needs also to be spoken on. Wojo kind of looking off Gabe there, but I mean the same cut happens and the same result is achieved. Kevin setting up a side stack here. Sean being X, making the first cut here. Kevin wanted to look deep off that. Doesn't get it. A little bit telegraphed. Gabe's man just kind of disappearing on him, so he has all this free space. This is an insane play. Johnny seems like he's trying to D his own teammate with that. Smacks the disc an extra 15-20 yards into the end zone. Kevin comes down with it. This was a great game overall, especially in terms of offensive movement, and I do think that there was a lot of improvement on both ends from last week, offensively and defensively. A lot of good things to watch would be, if you're not too confident with your throws, I'd say this is a great game to watch Andy. I'd say that it's a good game to watch Wojo's handlers. I think they do a very good job of moving the disc. And always just remember, keep a hard force. Communicate to your team what your force is going to be. And catch your D's.
All right, Pineapple Finger Guns, the pull. Started off. Scott with a nice high pull. Looks like I lost sight of the disc, but we'll see where it lands. Dan grabs it. It might have hit the net. Dan's taking it to half field. Ooh, it probably hit the net. All right, disc is tapped live. Dan's looking up field. He's looking around. Dumps it to Higgy. Higgy's throws an up line to... Ooh, Scott with a massive D. Dan's with the big mark. Is that a hand block? That could have been a hand block. That might have been a foul. No hand block. Wait. Yep, foul called. Disc is in again. Scott's looking around. He throws it. Walshy grabs it. Walshy continues around to Matt. Matt's looking deep. He shoots it. Just out of Scott's reach. Dan with the pickup. Dan's looking upfield. Nice little inside. Ooh, just out of John's reach. Matt with the pickup. Matt's looking around. He throws a nice around to Scott. Scott throws a nice inside to Mike Long. Mike Long's looking upfield. Looks like a backhand force we have. And Mike Long just puts a nice easy space pass to Scott for the score. 1-0. Pineapple Finger Guns. Probably calling up who they're guarding now. Scott pulls it, and better pull than last time. Disc was high. I think it's going to stay in bounds, and just out. Oh, I lied. Dan made the signal, but it was a false signal. Did not go out of bounds. Dan up the field to, it looks like Tia up the field to John. John looks around to Dan. Dan throws out lefty high release that just, nope, Ross was not paying attention. Walshy with the pickup. Walshy's looking around. He throws nice around to Scott. Scott's looking upfield in a nice inside window. And Mike Long just couldn't get there. Dan's trotting over the disc. He's going to be He's going to pick it up. See what Dump Truck can do with this. They need to put some points on the board. It's tapped in live. Dan's looking. Inside window to Tia. Tia's looking for Dump. She's just looking for upfield a little bit. She's looking for a Dump. She upfield John Edwards. John's looking upfield again. Need to reset. Oh. Ooh, just out of Tia's reach. John tried going upfield to Tia, and it's a little bit far. So what? Scott almost threw it away to Mike Long right there. That was poor. Mike Long with the shot, and nothing. Too far. Scott was not ready. And we have Dan with the pickup again. Seems we're going to see that a lot tonight. Dan's looking upfield. He shoots an inside to John. John catches it. John dumps to Ross. Ross goes with the big around to John Edwards again. John's looking upfield. He centers to Ross. Ross throws a backhand to Tia. Tia's looking to get off the line. Tia jumps it to Dan to get off the line. Dan throws a nice inside window, and Ross fell. But John caught it for the score. Matt was there, but he just couldn't get the D. 1-1. All right, John gives his signal. Looks like he's about to get looks like he got a hand. And the pull is off. Short pull. Still in bounds, but made it all the way. Matt centers to Tim. Tim up the field to Matt. Matt's looking upfield. Matt gives it over to Tim. Tim throws it up the field to Mike Long and just behind Mike, and he drops it. Piggy picked up and centered to Dan. Dan throws a nice inside to Ross. Ross throws it up midfield to Dan. Dan throws a high release, and can Ross come down with it? Nope. Ross could not toe the line, a little far. Mike Long with the pickup. Let's see what's going to happen. Mike Long's looking upfield. Throws a nice forehand up to... Deed and intercepted by John Edwards. That then turns it right back. Oh, Tim with the pickup. Tim's looking upfield. Oh, Tim takes a Blady shot. Scott comes down with it. He's waiting for his team. Gives it to Tim. Tim throws a nice backhand to Mike Long, who jumps in the end zone for the score. Scott's looking. Scott gives the ready to pull. He's waiting for a hand. Looks like he's hasn't got one yet. You got one? Scott with the pull. Nice low pull. Looks like it's going to stay in bounds. Dan catches it. Centers to Higgy. He gives it to Ross. Back up to Dan. Dan's looking with a shot, and it looks like Walshy got a nice hand on that one. Walshy with the pickup. Walsh brings it to the line. Walshy's looking upfield. He throws a forehand to Matt. Matt's looking. Matt throws a nice forehand to Scott, who drops it. And Dan gets a nice little D on it. Dan's looking upfield. He throws a lefty away to Matt. Matt picked it up. Matt centers to Walshy. Walshy gives it up to Scott. That's Matt. Sorry for that. Matt's looking around. He throws nice around to Scott. Scott's looking to continue, but no cuts. Scott throws it inside to Matt, who drops it just slightly behind him. Higgy with the pickup. Higgy's looking. Higgy throws a backhand to Tia. Tia's looking upfield. Resets to Ross. Ross with a nice little snag in front of Walshy. The close one. Walshy resets to Higgy. Higgy goes up the field to Dan. Dan fakes an inside. Dan throws a shot to Ross across field. Ross throws it to Higgy. Looks like it could have been a travel called there. Let's see, folks. Let's see. Higgy raises his hand. He gets a okay. Looks like he's setting up for a backhand. He throws a nice backhand pull. Looks like it's in bounds. Walshy with a nice stop. Gives it up. Centers to Mike Long. Back to Walshy. Back to Mike Long. back to Walshy. Oh, Walshy with a drop. It's unfortunate. You can't drop those. Higgy looks like he's taking a shot to Mike. Mike Long gets a D on that shot. Mike Long sends it to Tim. Tim gives it up the field to Walshy. Walshy takes a shot, and it's a little low. Scott's got to lay out for those if he wants them. Got to keep the disc alive. John Edwards with the pickup. John Edwards looking offline. Dumps it to Higgy. Higgy's now in the end zone. Oh, they got out of Callahan country. Up the line to Tia. Oh, hit the net. Automatic out. Pineapple Finger Guns picks it up. Mike Long picks it up. Round to Scott. Scott throws it around to Walshy. That's a good using the break side. Walshy centers, dumps to Mike Long. Mike Long goes up the break side to that. Scott with a nice high release. Ooh, Higgy almost got there, just not quite. Dump truck's over there. It's probably setting up a play. See what's gonna happen. Could be something cool. Walshy with the pull. Dan fields the pull. Centers to Higgy. Oh, it looks like they're running a side stack up to Dan. Dan fakes a shot. Dan resets to Higgy. Higgy's looking around. Higgy up the line to John Edwards. John Edwards with a nice shot under to Tia. Tia was not ready. Tia drops it. Matt just dishes it to Mike Long. Mike Long sends a shot. And it sails out of bounds. Like Dan's picking it up at the cone. I got a nice view of Scott, unfortunately. Up, Dan throws it off to Higgy. Higgy's looking around. He dumps to Dan. Dan with a nice kind of break throw to Tia. Tia's looking. She needs something. She needs a dump. Dumps it to John Edwards. Edward gives it back to Tia. Tia upfield to Higgy. Higgy's looking deep. He shoots one. John Edwards in the back of the end zone for the score. John Edwards is pulling. He shoots it. It's a nice quality pull. Matt fields. Matt gives a nice quick yardage to Walshy. Scott takes off deep. Walshy just throws it up to Mike Long, but Tia with a block. Huge block by Tia. Dan put the pickup. Dan's looking up. Is he going to give Tia the bookends is the question. Oh. Dan tries to center it to Tia, and Tia just doinks it. Who taught Ross how to play Frisbee? You don't pick it up and hand it to the guy. You get on the mark. Jeez. Nice guy Ross over there pretty much gives Scott a nice throw to Mike Long for the score. Scott gives the signal. He gets a hand. Scott with the pull. Nice solid pull. Dan's going to field it at the back of the end zone. Centers to Higgy. Higgy's looking upfield. Higgy unleashes a hammer of a shot to Ross, who drops it in the end zone. Oh, Ross is looking to feed it. He's just letting Walshy pick it up and go to the front of the end zone with no mark. Walshy up the field to Mike Long. Mike Long with a nice forehand up the field to Matt. There's Pineapple Finger Guns are just cramming up the cram hole. And it's a cram up the cram hole to Walshy dropping it. Ross had a nice jump in the way, making Walshy think he had to go up early. Ross had no play, but he had a nice 90, I would suggest say it is. Dan just takes a shot. I can't tell. Is that Ross? Yeah, it is Ross. Ross right on the goal line. He throws a backhand around to Higgy, who catches it to toe it in the end zone. That's the score. Then gets a hand. He unleashes a nice hammer pull. Ooh, it slides right out the back. I think he made a goal. That's a goal in my books. Matt picks it up and takes it at the end of the line. Oh, nope, something happened. Looks like missed a couple points there. I don't know what's going on. No idea what the score is. But We got John Edwards with the pull. Walsh takes it at the back of the end zone. Centers it to Mike Long. Mike Long goes up the break sideline to Scott with a nice round backhand. Scott looks upfield. He throws it up the field to Walshy. Walshy's looking up the field. He's got nothing. Sets the Matt on the fourth side. Matt's looking around. He throws a nice high release around to Mike Long, who throws another around to Walshy. Great use of that break side there. Walshy throws it up. Centers it to Scott, and Scott takes a shot to Matt, who just doinks it. It's a little high, but John Edwards with some good pressure. Dan with the pickup. Dan throws a nice around. John Edwards. John Edwards looking upfield. He's making a cut. Dan makes a nice undercut. Gets the disc. Dan takes a shot. And Ross gets it right at the end zone. What was that, Ross? But it worked. Ross with a nice, looks like grab and just turn throw to Tia. Ended up working. Looked weird, but, sometimes those work. John with a nice pull. Nice little floaty. Matt Fields. Matt gives it to Walshy on the sideline. Centers to Matt, who just drops it. You can't have those drops, man. Those drops are what's going to kill you. You got to protect those ones. Dan with the lefty inside window, just to Matt. Straight to Matt. And Matt just sends one deep to Scott. Scott's on the end zone line. Can Pineapple Finger Guns score from this, though? They had trouble. And they cannot. Scott throws it a little bit behind Walshy, it looked like. Higgy with the pickup. In the red zone there, you gotta score. It's crucial. Higgy's looking deep. He's looking around. Stall count getting high. He resets it to Dan. Pineapple Finger Guns can get some Callahans. They're in Callahan country now. They're still in Callahan country. Dump truck cannot get out of that Callahan country just yet. Up and Teal with the layout catch. That's up. That is up. Teal's looking upfield. He's looking for a dump. Looks like a stall? Looks like a stall just happened. Yep, that's a stall. Mike Long over there with the great mark. Stalled T out? Oh, wait. Pick call? Something was called. Don't know. Tia throws an up line, and Matt with a nice swat. Nice big swat. Matt shoots it. Oh, never mind. It's a shot up to Mike Long. Mike Long over to Scott. Scott's looking upfield. He throws a forehand around to Walshy. Goes up line. Walshy fakes it. Resets it to Matt. Matt throws it a backhand around to Scott. Oh, that is how you use a dump to swing to break. Scott got a hand. He takes a nice big pull. Looks like it's out the back, though. Oh, yeah, that's way out the back. Scott was shooting for, looks like the bathrooms. Higgy's picking it up. He's taking it a couple yards up. Nice brick mark. Higgy's looking upfield. Gives it to Ross. Ross throws around. Matt somehow got a D in that. Oh, wait, no, that was Scott. That was Scott. Scott signals for a timeout while she calls a timeout. While she was around to Mike Long, Mike Long shoots it gives it to Ross for the D. Ross resets to Higgy. Higgy unleashes a monster hammer that hit the ceiling. That's unfortunate. Tim just doesn't even take it to the point where it hit it. He just takes it from there. High release over Ross's head to Walshy. Walshy up the line to Scott. Scott's looking up the line. He up the line to Mike Long. Mike Long arounds to Scott. Scott fakes a backhand. Scott throws the high release backhand to Mike Long, who looks like a little sliding dive to catch it. Takes his time to get up. Throws it to Walshy, just a little low between Walshy's legs. Ross with the pickup. Around to Higgy. Higgy's looking upfield. Higgy throws it center field to John. John with an around to Ross. Oh, that's a miscommunication. John Edward gets at the end zone line. John throws it to you for the score. There's a little miscommunication between Walshy and his team there with the force. Dan with a nice lazily pull. Looks like it's sailing out of bounds. It does. It does sail out of bounds. Walshy picks it up. He's taking it to center. Oh, he said he gives it to Scott. That's kind of illegal. Someone should read the rules a bit. Scott taps it in and throws it to Matt. Matt throws it around to Tim. Tim up the line to Scott. Scott looks like he's about to shoot a huck, and he throws it to Walshy, who barely gets there and just grabs it and slides a bit because he's off his balance. Walshy with the backhand to Matt. Matt with the nice inside forehand to Scott. Scott with another inside forehand to Tim for the score. Oh, nope, Tim's not in. Tim taps it in. He's looking. Resets to Matt. Dan almost gets a deed. Throws it nice and up for Walshy in the back of the end zone for the score. Mike Long signaling pull. Let's see how this is going to go. Mike Long with a nice pull. Might stay in bounds. Dan catches above his head. Centers it up the field to Higgy. He's looking up the field. Throws a nice backhand to John Edwards. John Edwards throwing inside a flick to Ross. Ross just gives it directly to Dan behind him. Dan centers to Higgy. Higgy drops a hammer. That's a dime. That is a dime. Ross gets a nice goal and then just collapses in the back of the end zone. Ross is getting ready to pull. This is Ross's first pull, it looks like, this game. Let's see how it goes. Oh, a nice spin pull. Ross is getting fancy there. Scott Fields. Scott up field to Mike. Back to Scott. Up to Mike. They walked in midfield without any issue. No defense at all. Inside window to Tim. Tim resets to Scott. Scott shoots a forehand, and Higgy with a huge block. Good poach by Higgy. Higgy just takes a shot. Out of John Edwards' reach, unfortunately. Looks like Scott's going to pick up. Scott throws a nice backhand around to Mike Long. Mike Long sends it up to Scott, but Scott cannot get there. Not the right edge. Dan with the pickup. Matt to Mark. Centers it to Higgy. He's going deep. Higgy just sends up a nice floaty backhand to the corner where Dan catches it for the score. Yeah, that was weird. Well, Tia's pulling tonight. Let's see how this goes. Tia signals. Tia gets her hand. Tia gives a nice little pull. That's a solid pull. Bounces underneath Scott a couple times. Scott centers it to Mike Long. Mike Long throws a forehand to Tim. Tim's looking for deep. Looks like he wants a deep shot. Centers it to Mike Long. Mike Long tries throwing around. Instead gives it up the line to Matt, who drops it. John Edwards throws a forehand to Ross in the corner. Ross is still not in the end zone and just throws a backhand to space for Tia. That's a score. Someone jumped in front of the camera. No idea who. Oh, is that game? That looks like game? That is game.
That burp's going in, by the way.
That was weird.